I read a second time. I call the member for Heffron.
Mr. Acting Speaker, I make a contribution to the Payroll Tax Rebate Scheme Jobs Action Plan Amendment Extension Bill of 2015 and support the member for Maroubra and the opposition's position in opposing the bill. And the opposition opposes the bill, and I wasn't going to make a contribution until at the last parliamentary sittings I heard the Premier, during question time, asked a rhetorical question as to why Labor would oppose this bill because Labor is anti-jobs. Why would Labor oppose this bill because Labor is anti-jobs? But can I just explain it in a very simple way that even the members of the government on the other side of the House who are like trained monkeys and put their hand up every time the Premier says so. Let me explain it to you in very simple terms. The payroll rebate scheme applies for $2,000 rebate on the payment of payroll tax for the first year, $3,000 for the second year. $2,000 rebate is going to encourage a small business operator to employ someone for a year at a cost probably of the order of $1,400 a week. So the New South Wales government is going to hand over to a small business operator $40 a week to employ somebody for $1,400. And if they employ them the following year, they're going to get $3,000 or $60 a week. Now every member of this House knows that's just nonsense. Nobody is going to be able to afford to employ a full-time position by giving them $40 a week. Now that is the reality. Now, do I have to remind members of the House this? That small business employ 80% of the jobs in this state. They are a vital part of this state's economy, and they are a vital part of the employment opportunities of people in this state, right throughout this state and through the regions. But 90% of small business operators don't pay payroll tax.
Oh, isn't that a good thing?
They don't pay payroll tax. If there is any terrible tax that is a break on employment, it is payroll tax. And I can remember in 1977 the great Gough Whitlam standing down the road at the Opera House promising if he was elected he would abolish payroll tax and would subsidise the states for the cost of payroll tax. But the reality of the situation was the Tories won and they maintained this insidious tax across this country. And of course it is a tax on jobs. A member for Clarence might like to listen, he might learn something, because if he thinks that earning $40 a week is going to cause a high-end small business operator to employ somebody, he is dreaming. Now, the reality of the situation is this, that 90% of small business people are not going to be able to access this rebate. Now, when this scheme was announced in 2011, the government announced it would provide a rebate to the first 100,000 jobs created over a 2-year period at a cost of $400 million. As at June 2013, only about 20,000 applications had been received. Now, the member for Clarence tries to tell the House that small business is in support of this scheme. Now, let me remind the House what the New South Wales Business Chamber of Commerce said in 2011-2012, New South Wales, in regard to the New South Wales budget. They said this, and I quote, "Feedback from our members has overwhelmingly indicated that the current scheme is ineffective and is not providing employers with any significant incentive to take on additional staff. We understand that take-up has been running at about 50% of the expected rate. Assuming this remains the case, we estimate that the closure of the scheme to new entrants from the 1st of July will free up about $310 million from the initial $400 million commitment." So it is not universally supported by business at all. Now, I would suggest that those opposite who are shrieking like banshees on the other side of the House might want to take a leaf out of their federal colleagues, because at least in this budget they sought to target small businesses who in fact were small businesses by offering them a $20,000 tax write-off, applying from the date of the budget, at least to provide some sort of incentive to small business operators. Now, that doesn't really cost the federal government much, because all they're doing is advancing the depreciation schedule. But in any event, it was done obviously to encourage small business to invest before the end of the financial year, and then again invest in the following financial year to try and create some sort of economic activity. But at least they did something for the ordinary small business person to at least achieve some sort of benefit. Although economists like Sol Eastlake don't believe it will. But the reality is, at least they targeted small business operators. If you're talking about a $400 million commitment, what I'm saying to the House is that there are better ways to try and generate employment in this state. There are better ways to try and generate employment. There are ways in which you could generate some employment in the regions who are dying throughout this state. I mean, $400 million. Now, we went along with this scheme in 2011 on the basis of... we went along with this scheme in 2011 on the basis that it was worth a try, but it hasn't worked. Now, the fact of the matter is, you can take that money and start investing it in proper employment schemes in the regions, or try and invest it in providing TAFE courses to allow people in the regions to be able to obtain employment, to try and provide something that actually works. Because all you're doing is taking $400 million in relation to a scheme that is not successful, and you're throwing it out. Now just look at how those areas throughout the state are actually struggling for investment. This doesn't work. You know it doesn't work. You know that $40 a week is not going to allow a small business person to employ somebody at the age at a cost with on cost of at least $1,400. So, you know, you can scream as much as you like about it. You know what I'm saying is accurate, and you know that it hasn't got any effect, and you know that 90% of small business people don't pay payroll tax. And if the Tories think they're the great friends of small business, why did you remove the indexation for the indexation from payroll tax? Why did you remove it? Because you're trying to force even more small business operators over a period of time into that payroll tax category. There are reasons of substance that Labor is opposed to this bill, because it will not be of benefit to small business to employ people. All it is designed to do is get yourself a cheap headline in the tabloid press to give you the impression you're actually doing something, and you're buying that headline at a cost of $400 million.
Question is,